If you're a Canadian relying mostly on CPP and OAS, retiring here right now can feel like a financial trap. Rent up, groceries up, thermostat set to guilt. But carry that exact same monthly government check across a border, and suddenly you're an upper middle class expat wondering why the pool guy keeps calling you boss. So today, the best countries for Canadians to retire cheap. 6 of them, counted down to the one where your pension stretches the absolute furthest. And a tease for number 1. It's the country where a couple's combined CPP and OAS doesn't just survive, it clears the retirement visa bar with money left over. It's coming. Stay. One ranking rule, stated once. I'm ordering these by pension purchasing power, how much actual life the same check buys, not by beach quality or vibes. Full honesty, I'm not retired and I haven't moved anywhere. Wait, I'm the guy who reads visa rules and government rate tables for fun, so you don't have to. And stick around for the trap at the end. The 183-day rule that can quietly cost you your provincial health card and rewrite your tax life. That part is not optional. First, the number this whole video converts into lifestyles. Be honest with me. Do you actually know what CPP pays the average Canadian? Guess before I show you. The average CPP retirement pension is about $880 a month, not the maximum, the average. That's what most of us are actually working with. Yes, there's a theoretical maximum of about $1,510, but the average sits way below it. So I'm building this entire video on the average, not the fantasy. Now add full old age security for ages 65 to 74, about $750 a month, and it's indexed quarterly, so it keeps pace. So here's our single retiree benchmark. Average CPP plus full OAS equals about $1,630 a month. Lock that number in, it's the hero of this story. And 2 average retirees, our couple benchmark, bring in about $3,260 a month combined. That's the second number to remember, only 2. You've got this. Quick pitch while those numbers are fresh. Honest Canadian money math like this every week. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Okay, back to the map. In a lot of Canadian cities, that couple number gets eaten by rent and a winter heating bill before anyone has done a single fun thing. You felt that. So have I. So the real question, where on earth does roughly $3,300 a month make you comfortable, even wealthy? One caveat first, every conversion here moves with the loonie, so recheck the day you apply. Countdown starts now. Number 6, Portugal. The best place in Europe where a Canadian government pension still feels genuinely substantial instead of decorative. Real talk, Lisbon has gotten expensive, no sugarcoating it. But central Portugal and quieter corners of the Algarve are still comfortable on a modest budget. The visa is the D7 for passive income, and the bar tracks the Portuguese minimum wage, 920 euros a month. About 1,490 Canadian, and our single benchmark of about 1,630 clears that bar. One person average CPP plus OAS. And Europe says, come on in. What you get, first world safety, real trains, cobblestones older than Confederation, and food and wine so cheap that a grocery run feels like a clerical error in your favor. Healthcare. Legal residents can register with the public system, and expats lean on private care that's typically far gentler on the wallet than anything with an American logo on it. Money and banking. Service Canada can deposit CPP and OAS to a foreign account, and you'll want a local account anyway for rent, utilities, and the bakery you now visit daily. Taxes. Canada and Portugal have a tax treaty, so you're not taxed twice on the same dollar. But the fine print is exactly what my departure tax video exists for. Getting home. Direct flights run from Toronto and Montreal to Lisbon, and the time difference is small enough that calling the grandkids doesn't require a spreadsheet. Internet is fast and cheap in towns of any real size. Portuguese retirees stream, video call, and doom scroll at full Canadian speed minus the Canadian bill. Snowbird warning though, without residency, Schengen rules cap visits at roughly 90 days in any 6-month window. Part-time Portugal means paperwork. It's the full move or the stopwatch. So why only number 6? Because it's still Europe. Your pension is comfortable here, not king-sized. The further down this countdown we go, the richer that exact same check feels. Number 5, Costa Rica, the eco-retirement. Pricier than the rest of Latin America on this list, but here the lifestyle itself is the product. The vibe is pura vida, beaches, cloud forests, monkeys auditing your breakfast, all backed by one of the region's most stable democracies. That stability is what you're paying for. The visa, the Pensionado program. You show 1,000 US dollars a month from a lifetime pension, about 1,410 Canadian, and CPP and OAS count because they're government pensions for life. A single Canadian at about 1,630 clears it. A couple doesn't just clear it, they sail over it with the whole boat. One honest asterisk, the government has been openly discussing raising that bar, and nobody's promising the current number sticks around. Verify it the week you apply, not the year before. Healthcare, residents join the public Caja system, and the private hospitals around San Jose have an international reputation. Plenty of physicians trained abroad, plenty of English spoken. Cost-wise, be real with yourself. The famous expat beach towns are not dirt cheap anymore. Inland valleys and smaller towns are where the pension actually stretches. Comfort, the Central Valley runs eternal spring weather. No furnace, no snow shovel, no February staring out the window existential crisis. That alone is worth a line on the budget. Banking, most expats keep their Canadian accounts and cards running alongside a local Cologne's account, and the pension follows you by direct deposit. Boring, functional, exactly what you want. Access, direct flights from Toronto, and you're on the same side of the planet. The grandkids are a flight away, not a pilgrimage. Internet is solid in the expat hubs and patchier in the deep jungle, which, let's be honest, might be exactly the feature you're shopping for. Why number 5? You're paying a premium for paradise with stability. Gorgeous, safe, easy, but that same Canadian check works measurably harder in the next 4 countries. Number 4, Panama, the country that looked at retirees and basically built them a loyalty program. The famous Pensionado Visa show a lifetime pension of 1,000 US a month, about 1,410 Canadian, and CPP plus OAS qualifies automatically because they're government pensions. Our single benchmark of about 1,630 clears it with room to spare, and that bar is tied for the lowest on this entire list. Then Panama starts handing you coupons by law. As a pensionado, program benefits include a quarter off your utility bills, half-price movies, concerts, and sporting events, and a fifth off medical consultations. The country literally discounts your retirement. As a Canadian who pays full price for winter, this feels illegal. And here's the sneaky big one. Panama runs on the US dollar, fully dollarized. There is no local currency to crash the month before your rent is due. Your only currency risk is the loonie against the greenback, the exact same risk every snowbird in Florida already lives with. No new monsters, just the familiar one. Healthcare. Panama City has modern private hospitals, several affiliated with big international networks. And remember, your Pensionado medical discount applies when you walk in. Lifestyle, pick your climate, humid buzzing capital, Pacific beach towns, or cooler highland spots like Boquetes, where the expat community is enormous and the coffee is embarrassing to Canadian drip. Access, Panama City is a major airline hub. Most of Canada is one connection away, and the time zone is basically Eastern. Your Sunday family call stays a Sunday family call. Internet and infrastructure are among the best in Central America. Panama is a banking and logistics country by trade, and retirees ride that same backbone. So why number 4 and not the podium? Prices in the nicest areas have crept up. The benefits are the gold standard, but raw purchasing power gets stronger in the top 3. And if you're the kind of Canadian who wants your pension treated like that, subscribe. This whole channel is us finding the places and the math where your money gets respect. Quick gut check before the top 3, because this is the part that flips the whole list. Not every country here says yes to a single retiree. On CPP and OAS alone, a single Canadian gets turned away at 3 of these 6 borders And all three are still ahead of us, including number one. Keep score with me. Number three, Mexico, the proximity play, and the one most Canadians can already picture because half your street has been to Puerto Vallarta. The trick is to skip the resort zones. Lake Chapala, Merida, Oaxaca, rent and groceries run drastically cheaper than the resort strip, and the expat infrastructure is decades deep. Lake Chapala alone hosts one of the largest Canadian and American retiree communities anywhere on Earth. You will not be the only Maple Leaf at the market, not even close. The Visa temporary resident with a monthly income test pegged to Mexico's UMA index, currently 35,193 pesos, roughly 2,850 Canadian a month. Plot twist, that is actually the steepest income bar on this whole list. Yes, higher than Thailand's. Cheap country, expensive front door. Our couple at about 3,260 clears it. A single at about 1,630 on CPP and OAS alone does not. You'd need extra income or Mexico's savings balance route instead. And a real hedge, Mexican consulates apply these numbers inconsistently. Calgary and Toronto might quote you different bars on the same day. Call yours before you plan anything around a YouTube video, even mine. Healthcare. The major cities have excellent private hospitals at a fraction of US prices, and lots of expats simply pay cash for routine care without drama. The unbeatable part is accessibility. No jet lag, time zones lining up with Canada, give or take, and a quick direct flight home when a grandkid has a birthday. Nobody else on this list touches that. Banking. Canadian cards work fine to start. Long-termers open a local account for the day-to-day. And CPP and OAS can be paid to you abroad either way. The check doesn't get homesick. Internet in the expat hubs is strong. Merida and Chapala are full of retirees streaming playoff hockey at breakfast because of the time zones. Living the dream, honestly. Best tip on this list, snowbird Mexico first. Visit for up to 6 months as a tourist, live like a local, then decide. It's the lowest stakes test drive of any country here. So why only number three? Because pure money math gets even sillier in the last two countries. Buckle up. Number two, Ecuador, South America's dollarized retirement haven and the sleeper pick almost nobody in Canada talks about. Like Panama, Ecuador runs entirely on the US dollar, zero local currency risk, but at Andean prices. That combination is genuinely rare, and it's the whole thesis here. The famous hub is Cuenca, a colonial city in the mountains with spring-like weather all year round. No furnace, no air conditioner, no heating bill, ever. Let that one sink in, fellow Canadian. And it's home to a big, established Canadian and American retiree community. English-speaking doctors, expat cafes, newcomers clubs. The soft landing is already built. The visa, the pensioner residence. The bar is 3 times Ecuador's unified basic salary of 482 US. So 1,446 US a month, about 2,050 Canadian. Honest math, a couple at about 3,260 clears it comfortably. A single at about 1,630 does not on CPP and OAS alone. A single retiree can still get there with a workplace pension, RIF withdrawals, or other provable income stacked on top. But the government check alone won't do it. I promised you honest, not shiny. Once you're in, though, the purchasing power is a little absurd. Markets, restaurants, taxis, and rent at prices that make the loonie feel like a power tool instead of a coupon. Healthcare. Cuenca and Quito have modern hospitals, residents can join the public IESS system, and private care stays affordable by any Canadian yardstick. Now, the straight talk on safety, because you'd ask in the comments anyway, Ecuador has had a rough few years, but it's regional. The highland hubs like Cuenca stay far calmer than the coast. Read the travel advisory, pick your city like a local. The trade-off is access, more flight connections than Mexico, and a long travel day from most of Canada. But the time zone is basically Eastern. You land without jet lag and call home like a normal person. Internet in the cities is perfectly workable. Cuenca's expat scene basically runs on video calls to grandchildren in Mississauga. One filing tip. The visa bar resets every January when the basic salary updates. Check the current number before you submit anything, not after. So why is Ecuador only number 2? Because one country still beats it on pure pension purchasing power, and it's the one you've been waiting for. Number 1, Thailand, where a Canadian government pension stops being a budget and starts being a lifestyle. This is the country the phrase live large was built for: a modern condo with a pool, eating out every single day, a cleaner, the occasional massage, typically all on a couple's government check. The visa, the non-immigrant OA long stay for retirees over 50. The income route asks for 65,000 baht a month, about 2,760 Canadian. Couple benchmark about 3,260 versus about 2,760 bar. Clears it. The number 1 country on this entire list is officially reachable on 2 average Canadian government pensions. A single at about 1,630, not on income alone. But Thailand offers an alternative, a lump sum deposit parked in a Thai bank account instead of monthly income. Savings can carry a single retiree in. Healthcare is the flex. Bangkok's private hospitals are world-famous medical tourism destinations. International accreditation, English-speaking specialists, rooms nicer than some hotels I paid for, and routine care is often cheap enough that expats just pay out of pocket for things that would mean a long waiting list back home. Read that sentence twice. Lifestyle, Chiang Mai for mountains and cafe culture, Hua Hin for beach town calm, Bangkok for everything ever invented, and food so good and so cheap that cooking becomes a hobby, not a chore. Now, the honest trade-offs, it is the far side of the planet. Flights home are long and not cheap, and the time difference turns family calls into a scheduling project. Money admin, CPP, and OAS can absolutely be deposited to you abroad, but you'll juggle transfers and exchange rates. The baht is a live currency against the loonie, unlike dollarized Panama and Ecuador. Internet is fantastic in the cities. Thailand runs a massive remote work scene, and retirees ride the exact same infrastructure. Your video calls will look better than mine. Tips. The OA also requires health insurance, and the rules get rechecked annually. Read the current embassy checklist before you book so much as a hotel. But on the ranking basis, we set how much life one pension check buys. Thailand takes the crown. The same check that feels tight in Canada puts you at the top of the food chain here. If you just pictured yourself on that balcony, even for a second, that's the whole point. The math is the passport. The rest is just deciding to look. Now, the trap I promised in the cold open is because cheaper hides some fine print. And the fine print starts with the number 183. First, your provincial health card has a residency clock. Most provinces require you to be physically present for roughly half the year to keep coverage. Stay away too long, and it can lapse. Snowbirds count days like accountants for a reason. Second, the 183-day mark. Stay away too long, and your provincial health coverage can lapse. And long absences start the residency conversation with the CRA. Days matter, but they are not the whole test. And tax residency isn't a vibe. The CRA looks at ties, your home, your spouse, your health card, arguably your beer league membership, cut enough ties, and you're a non-resident with an entirely new rule book. Now, the portability rules, and this is the beat that decides whether the dream even works. CPP follows you anywhere on Earth for life. Full stop. OAS keeps paying abroad too, if you lived in Canada at least 20 years after turning 18. Fewer than that, and your OAS can stop after just 6 months outside the country. So before you fall in love with Cuenca, count your own years and call Service Canada. They can tell you exactly where you stand. It's a phone call, not a guess. And the biggest catch of all, officially leaving Canada can trigger a departure tax. The CRA treats you as having sold certain assets on your way out the door. That one deserves its own full video. Time for the scoreboard. On CPP plus OAS alone, a single Canadian clears 3 of the 6: Panama, Costa Rica, and Portugal. Thailand, Mexico, and Ecuador need a couple's combined check, or extra income and savings stacked on top for a single. That's the honest scoreboard, no rounding up the dream. And a couple at about $3,260 a month clears every single bar on this list, all six. The same check that feels like survival in Canada is a visa qualifying income across half the map. My honest take, this is not sell everything and book a flight. It's that the CPP and OAS number you maybe felt embarrassed about is genuinely enough for a great life. Location is the variable, not the check. Now confess in the comments, which of the six would you actually pick? And are you running the single scoreboard or the couple scoreboard? I read every single one. Before you pack a single sock, watch the next video, the departure tax, what leaving Canada actually costs. And of course, none of this is financial or tax advice. A move this big deserves a real professional. See you there.